Phantasm. Is it a nightmare? Phantasm. Is it an illusion? Phantasm, whatever it is. If this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead.
What's up, rotters, and welcome back to the podcast that takes a deep dive into the best and worst horror films of the 80s and 90s. I'm Stevie, your VHS veteran. Our mid-season break is up. Yes, it's that time of year, and I am as happy as a wet gremlin. We have got an absolutely awesome October lineup, both here and on Patreon, and today we're going to get started. Can't wait. So today's episode is brought to you by Darren Barker, Lisa Price, Dyson Windsor, Rosie Morgan, Nicholas Walton, and John Reed Adams. Those folks recently signed up to our Patreon and have gained access to a huge back catalogue of bonus episodes, franchise retrospectives, and more. Thank you so much, all of you, for supporting the show and showing the love. It helps me more than you could know and enables me to keep creating quality content. Having said that, today's episode is a slight dent in that quality as, for old time's sake, my microphone once again failed me, but luckily my computer backup is more than acceptable, and so I've managed to use that. So apologies for the occasional peaking, but it's pretty clear and it's fine, in my opinion. But what is today all about? It is, of course, time to delve into Dan Coscarelli's Phantasm, a fan favourite that's been requested for some time. This movie was picked in a Patreon poll I recently put up to decide our next franchise retrospective, where we go through every film in a franchise. And so, after today's episode, me and my guest will be continuing through the franchise and covering all, I've said franchise so many times, and covering all 5 movies over the next few months over on Patreon. And the Phantasm franchise, oh god, will be joining previous retrospectives on franchises like Ghoulies, Children of the Corn, Warlock, Critters, and loads more. So, speaking of my guest, he's one of my favourite people to talk to, both on and off air. He was here previously covering Waxwork and then Waxwork 2 on Patreon, and we also did Deep Rising. He's the mind behind the YouTube hit They Talk, and of course, a familiar face on Dead Meat's Kill Count, where he has covered the Tremors franchise, oh god, I keep saying it, Critters, Dude Bro Party Massacre, and more. It is, of course, Zoran Gvojic.
Well, if it isn't Zoran Gvojic.
Well.
The hardest working man in horror.
Me? The hardest working man in horror? Oh, God. No.
You and Joe Bob.
Me and Joe Bob? Yeah, that man does a lot. Yeah, you also seem to do quite a bit in horror as well.
Yeah,
sir.
I dip my fingers and I dip my toes in. But if you're here, that can only mean 2 things. First of all, it means it's the beginning of our long journey through the Phantasm movies, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
We'll talk about our previous relationships with them shortly. But also, if you're here, that also means it must be a milestone in your personal life, because that's what we do, right?
I have no idea why it works out that way, but yes, it is true. I am officially going to be a dad.
She's with child.
Yes, I am with, not right now. There's no child with me currently.
But, no.
My lovely pregnant wife, Megan, is in the other room. Packing.
And in the family way.
And in the family way. Yes, that's the nice way of saying it, to show that no one here has ever had sex.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We say it in the Victorian way. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. She's with family. In
With
the family way.
child.
With child. But yes, no. Due March 26th. So I'll have a little spring baby.
Oh,
So
my goodness.
very, very happy and very excited for this. Next
I'm very excited
journey.
for you. I'm very,
And to
very
bring them
excited for you.
on the podcast at some point, just screaming and
Yes.
just really see how that episode goes for your
Yeah.
viewings.
Yeah, or you can just stick them in the other room and put Gremlins on.
Yeah,
started early.
That's child raising, right? That's what you do?
Yeah.
Just stick them in a room with gremlins on? I mean, I have
That's
actual
how I
gremlin
was raised.
puppets. So
Yeah,
that'll
you
work.
could do the show.
I'll
No,
do
dude,
it.
that is so exciting because the first time you were on, just got engaged. Second time you were on, you were just about to get married, and now this. So I can't wait to see what's next. Hopefully, it's nothing too. Hopefully, there are another 4, but when we record all these Phantasm episodes.
Well, I'm here. My child's been kidnapped by a man in
Yeah.
a cemetery. Another
Well.
milestone event for Zoran.
It happens to the best of us.
You're going to start manufacturing events for things
Yeah,
to
right.
happen. You're like, I haven't had Zoran on in a minute. I've got to see what's going to happen. And just don't worry, there's not going to be an event for every Phantasm movie because there's
Well,
5 of these things.
right.
And it's not like all of a sudden like, oh, I lost my job. I got a new job. I cut off my hand.
Well, yeah, let's hope that there's no negative events. But I'm super excited to have you back. I really am. I absolutely love the episodes we've done together. And I managed to hook you in and agree to do this entire franchise. And we'll be carrying on over on Patreon.
I'm just so thankful it wasn't The Howling. So thankful. It's
It
like,
was very close because we put up a poll. And there were some good ones on there, but I always like to put a stinker of a franchise on there because I mean The Howling is up there with the worst when it tails off the latter few especially. Or
what do you
everything
mean,
past number
latter
2,
few?
actually.
You mean like 10 of them. There are so many of those movies. I couldn't even finish it. I do a franchise marathon every Halloween.
Yes,
and I
you
watch
do.
every Puppet Master in
Mhm.
order for like 17 hours in chronological order. And Howling went, I think we made it to like 5 and went, no, why are we doing this to ourselves? I didn't even get to the one that was just shot on like digital video camcorders that no one can find. No. There's barely any
not good.
werewolves in the later franchise.
It's insane. I remember watching one. I got about 20 minutes in on Amazon Prime where it's just in like a dust ball, kind of cowboy-esque.
Yeah, that's the one that's
town.
like shot on video. That's like,
Yes.
you know what? It's awful.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
No, absolutely dreadful. What is going to be your marathon of choice this Halloween
This
season?
year we are doing Saw. We are doing 9 Saw movies
Very
in honor of the
good.
new one coming out. And we're starting with Spiral to get that out of the way.
Oh,
Then we're going
okay.
into the canon of the rest of the
Okay.
movies.
Fair enough. I have seen Saw 10, and I mean, I'll. Have you seen it yet?
I have not seen it yet. No, I'm
Okay.
hoping to see it this
I'll-
weekend.
Okay, I'll let you. We'll discuss it after you've seen it.
Yeah, good,
Yes,
good.
keep it-
But
keep it
what
to
about
myself.
this movie? Not the franchises that we are
Yay!
seeing or doing.
Yeah, Phantasm, 1979. Don Coscarelli. What is your history with this movie and this franchise?
I'm pretty sure I saw the third one before anything else. I think I saw Lord of the Dead and loved it. And I think that's probably now still why it's my favorite of the franchise. And then I have watched them. I can't remember when the last time I watched these movies, actually. No, I did. I did a franchise marathon with them and fell asleep before Ravager. So
Okay.
I
Okay,
paired it with Candyman. I did the Tall Men of Terror and had Candyman and this. So we had like a 7-movie franchise. And then I
like
just
that.
got too drunk and didn't make it to Ravager. I think I put the 4th one on and forced everyone. I think people
Is
were
that
switching
Oblivion?
over to watch Death Becomes Her. They're like, we won't watch Death Becomes Her. I'm like, no, we're watching Phantasm. And I switched it on. I'm like, meh, Phantasm. And then I fell asleep and then I woke up to Death Becomes Her. And I'm like, all right, it's over.
Suddenly, you pushed me down the stairs. And you're like, hang on, that's not the tall man.
I'll say that is better than the later Phantasms. Death Becomes Her. So,
Well, yeah, good old Zemeckis.
But we will-
For me, I've got an interesting relationship with this one. So, as you know, I raided the video shop when I was a kid, and I saw everything that was there. And Phantasm, I remember I definitely rented the first three, and they never, as a kid, really spoke to me, and I wasn't obsessed. And I don't think I visited them again until the pandemic. And then I watched them, all five, I think, and I was like, fuck me, I love this. This is so trippy, it's so psychedelic and really different. And it very much still has all the makings of a 70s film, even though we're just pushing the 80s, but it's before we get into that next wave of horror. And it's ethereal and odd and uncanny, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm really kind of happy that I truly only discovered it recently as an adult during the pandemic, and I absolutely thought they are, especially the first three, so original and so different and unlike anything really coming out of that time. And that was wonderful for me. And so then I'm like, yeah, let's cover them. I think, yeah.
Oh, I'm on board. I'm on board for
It's
watching
very
these magical films again.
Yeah. So let's talk about the first one. It's a very good place to start. 1979.
Oh, do you want your synopsis?
I do. You knew it was coming. The one you just wrote. And we should say it's like 8 in the morning where you are right now.
Yes, I'm getting on an airplane later, so we're just like, fit this in before I head off to another wedding, because everyone's getting married in October. Everyone is getting married in October. Had a wedding last weekend, this weekend. Another friend's wedding is the following weekend. But I'm not invited to that one, so it's okay.
Oh, fair enough. You're not too mad about that.
No. He was very apologetic, being like, I'm sorry, I can't. It's fine. I don't need 3 weddings. I need my weekends. Please. Thank you.
I'm good.
I love you, but I'm totally okay with it. It's fine.
Especially during this season. It's our season. It's our Christmas.
Oh yeah. No, we're diving back in for all the horrors and things. But yes, here's the synopsis for Phantasm. Do you love center punch conversations? Pervy baby bros, long sustained organ notes, and convoluted dream mythology? No? Okay, well, how about silver balls that drain out people's brains? Not Jawas. And Angus Scrim originating Kratos's boy expression. Mm-hmm. Well, then this movie is mostly for you. Impressively shot on a shoestring budget in 1979 by Don Coscarelli, Phantasm launched a lesser-known franchise about dreams and death that doesn't star a female dog-loving child molester.
Oh, right, nice. Very good indeed. I mean, I think there's so
8 a.m. Zoran brain right there.
And that was very, very good. I think we should jump in straight away and talk about the Jawa of it all. Because, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like the Critters and Gremlins thing, right? Isn't it? When they're like, no, technically this was first, but it came out after. It's one of them.
Yeah. So they originated the Jawas in this one?
That's what they're saying.
Lucas goes, oh, I like those. I'd like to put those in my movie. It's my terrible George Lucas impression.
That was good. It was like a South Park version of George Lucas. That's what I enjoyed about that. So apparently the Jawas that we see in these, even though they're not called Jawas, were absolutely written first. I mean, I don't know if the styling was written. We can't really tell, but I just love these stories. And it's exactly the same as, Critters. That was written first and then Gremlins came out. And it's one of those horror Hollywood sort of folklore tales that I quite enjoy. So what do you generally think of this movie as a whole? If you in a nutshell.
I personally don't like dream things.
Me neither.
Yeah. So anytime something is a dream, could be a dream, what really happened. Like, I like Freddy because Freddy's like dream rules are very specific. It's like, hey, you're in the dream world, boom, and then we have a, maybe it was a dream ending or whatever thing on there. Like,
but you're expecting that at least because we're told that's his place of work. The dream world is where he. But what I'm the same as you. I feel duped and I feel I kind of get pissed off and mad when they take the easy way out and go, this was a dream. We thought of a great scare, but it wouldn't make sense to the actual narrative, so we're going to make it a dream.
And that's how I felt I will say, just going to the end of Phantasm is like, I was with it, and then it lost me. And we'll get into exactly where it lost me from there. But overall, I'm just like, fuck you. You're just, fuck you. I was with you, Phantasm, and then you're just like, nope.
And it is because it is that ending the way you go, no, stick with it, stick to your guns.
I was here. Come on.
Because we've even had those great sort of nightmarish sequences where, wakes up in the graveyard in his bed and the hands are all coming out. And then Jade, the brother?
Jody.
Well, the thing is, in these sort of films, normally the brother's always called Judd. So that's where my head went to.
No, Judd's just the old guy in Pet Sematary.
Oh, yeah, maybe Judd, yeah.
Just like, better not go over there into that Morningside Cemetery.
Very good accent. Very good. But I think what I really enjoy about the opening of this is it gives you nothing. Really, it never tells you what the hell is going on.
It gives you plenty. It gives you boobs. It gives you that is what the 70s horror right there. It's like, and we're off to the races. Everyone's in. Like, okay, whatever the story is, we're good. Sex. Start canoodling. Sex.
Yeah, canoodling and a stab. But it's just what I really enjoy about that is it doesn't give you anything. I mean, it gives you boobs and it gives you blood, but it doesn't give you any idea of what is coming. If you watch it for the first time, you're like, so what is this about? Like a female serial killer? Or it's just so wonderfully random.
Yeah, no, I think it works really well. I will say, it's the most lackadaisical sex scene that I have seen in a long time. Yes. The one guy this lady said like, yeah. She's like, oh, yeah. And then just like shot of boobs. It's not like full body or anything. It's just like, we put the insert shot there. Might be the actress, might not be. I don't know. Might be a mannequin. We're just moving around. And there's one shot where, she's on top of him. And then they show like feet coming from behind the gravestone. Her feet are like laying on top of him, not in a straddle position, but like fully back. So that if you're looking at the two shots, she has bent her back 90 degrees to be riding on top of this man. And her legs are just like straight back, which I think would be a warning to this guy that something is wrong.
Right. But then we kind of start to get the setup. So Tommy has died, right? And there's talk about he's killed himself, and we get the setup of this big mausoleum. And from the outside, I believe it's the house they used in Burnt Offerings, which I immediately thought, I know that house because it came alive in Burnt Offerings. But inside, it is this pristine marble mausoleum, and it's so epically sort of visual and famous. Just as soon as you see it, you go, oh, yeah, that is the interior in Phantasm. And we have the echoing footsteps. What do you think of all this?
Well, I would say actually the very first shot where they're talking about Tommy's dead and they're sad, like Jody and Reggie are just there. And it's just such an awkward one shot where they're just like, yeah, you sad?
Exposition.
Yeah, I'm sad. Okay. And then Jody just walks off and then the camera just stays. So just walking off for a long bit. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm on board for this. It's just like,
got the information we need.
We got it. All right, moving on. And then is it wood paint? Is that all a set, the mausoleum? Like, it almost seems like wood painted like marble.
Well, it's all plasterwood, and then they've got sticky plastic covering that is in the pattern of marble. And I think
I was saying that it is impressive, but I'm also watching the HD
4K
remaster that J.J. Abrams helped with because he loves Phantasm so much that he named Captain Phasma after Phantasm.
There you go.
The cool character. If it's Star Wars, you gotta have a cool looking character that doesn't do shit like Boba Fett.
Well, exactly. But yes. And at the end, he's very Han Solo, Jody is. The way he looks and the way he's running around with his pistol and his leather jacket.
with his that, and then the Jawas everywhere. Like, you sure
Got the
that
Jawas,
you
yeah.
guys weren't hanging? No, I was doing my
No.
own thing. I didn't look up where was this. Where was this shot? This was shot in California, right?
I believe so, and it was all very much guerrilla. You know, they didn't have licenses, and I read that Coscarelli actually he found a really cool loophole with the filming equipment, because he would hire the filming equipment, but instead of hiring it for the entire shoot, he would hire it every Friday and then hand it back in on the Monday. No, back in on the Monday, but because the place was closed over the weekend, he only had to pay for 1 day's rental.
That's smart.
It's so smart. So every Friday he'd go, hey, can I rent that stuff I rented last week? Yeah, sure. And then he'd bring it back on the Monday and they'd pay 1 day rental and they'd film over the weekend. Then he'd go back next Friday. Hey, you know that stuff I was using last week? And so it's a brilliant loophole. And I'm sure after this, that rental store probably went, I think we need to adjust our prices and our rules, our policy.
Yeah, that's something you want to change up. But yeah, I saw that he shot for like 20-hour days, and it was basically just weekends over a year. It was just shot on weekends, and
because that's when he rented it.
I know, but it's a true independent in that way of, you know, $300,000 budget, and it's very impressively shot for what it. Yeah, I think there was only $300,000 that he got from like doctors, lawyers, his dad. It was one of those kind of like Evil Dead, where they just went to people. I think Evil Dead always said they're like dentists. Dentists have a lot of money and are willing to invest in it. Go find a dentist if you want to fund your movie. They're like, yeah, sure, that sounds fun.
Sounds good. That's really good. Yeah. And also, it probably comes full circle with dentists, because if they're shooting a horror movie, people watch it around Halloween, and that's when they eat a lot of candy, and then they'll need to go to the dentist. So, you know, it all comes out in the wash.
It all works out. Like, yeah, Halloween. Whoa, that gets me the best work right there. Yeah, I'll invest in Halloween anytime.
But that's amazing, 300,000. That, now that you said that,
it doesn't look that. I mean, he did a very impressive job, and he was in his 20s, I assume, at this point, or something. Yeah.
But even just choices with angles and symmetry and perspective, it just looks like a really classy, glossy, budgeted movie, but it was low. And I think that's so impressive. And I was reading about how they did certain things and how certain things came to him, such as he was drinking out of a styrofoam cup once and his finger went through the bottom, and that made him just have this image of a finger in a box and how you could do it, because it was so easy to do on a styrofoam cup. And having someone, you know, I mean, we'll get into the spheres when we come to them, because they are so iconic.
Oh, yeah. No, we keep the spheres. That's what I was waiting for.
I'd never really questioned how they did it. But I mean, we'll talk about that when we come to it. But it's so simple and yet so effective, and all cost effective. I just think it's so well thought out and done. And I believe, did you read about this, that kind of this whole setup came to him in a dream, very much the way that, you know, Freddy Krueger was inspired by that fateful night when Wes Craven looked out the window and saw a creepy guy on the street.
For Nightmare on Elm Street still creeps me out when he just sees that homeless guy out his window when he was like 10 or something like that, and like clocks him and starts heading towards the building. I'm like, that's the most terrifying like origin of this one. I'm like, but yeah, I get this one happened in a dream. Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. He had a dream and went, let's see if I could capture that. And he was rewriting this thing constantly on set, and that's why it has multiple endings. And I think they even used one of the endings for Phantasm 4. He's like, we filmed it. Let's reuse it for that.
Yeah. I think the original runtime was over 3 hours. And I have to say, I'm glad they did cut it, because a lot of it, and this is probably what I didn't really get on board with as a kid, that it is quite challenging cerebrally, you know, to sort of keep up. And there's lots of almost vignettes in the middle, and there are moments of downtime and then action, and it's more of like a walkthrough experience, like an installation a lot of the time. And I think that is what didn't grab me. But I think anymore, if it went another 40 minutes, I think it would lose me.
Would have. It was enough that I was like, I still enjoy this movie, even if I didn't enjoy the ending of it, because I was like, you didn't take a ton of my time. But it was also very interesting watching this with my wife as well. She kept seeing, anytime they said Morningside Cemetery, like showed the sign, she's like, why didn't they spell it M-O-U-R. Like, they missed the pun. And I'm like, I married the right woman. I married the right woman who is so upset they didn't, like, put the U in there. Come on. It's Morningside.
That's so true. Oh, God, I want to marry him now because that's what I need in my life. People that spot stuff like that. The moment with the sort of the mystic, because Michael, obviously, he's seen the tall man lift up a coffin with super strength. And then he goes, "Oh, I must go see the local mystic." I didn't
you
really
always have the
understand
local psychic
of course,
that's in
you
town.
do.
And
It's very
obviously,
Italian.
at that point, I'm just like, oh, yeah, he definitely used all of his friends and family and things in this, where it's like, we got the one lady is like, I'm not doing any lines. I'm not saying anything. And this one's going to talk. And she's like, I am going to say the words that I am supposed to say now. They are the words that I should say.
So
Did I say the
monotonous, isn't
words? I said the words.
It's so true. But I guess the only reason, and what you were saying about, the lots of rewriting and things were cut, I feel like there may be more of a through line with this. And I do think, if I remember correctly, in a couple of the sequels, there's more of a psychic connection between the brothers. There's like this symbiotic thing going on. Yeah,
they get
and
into
I
some
think
things and brains and little brains and stuff, and
and so that's all sort of peppered in this one, but nothing really makes much sense. And I think the reason for this bit with the grandmother, as they call him, is this life lesson that he has to learn about the box and not to be scared and to make choices. And I don't know if it hits as hard as they think.
And then it's just like, stick your hand in this box, kid.
Okay, now you've learned your
Standard
lesson.
psychic procedure. We've always got a box over here that is like, feel that? Ooh, those are the witch's eyeballs. Those are just peeled grapes.
Right, exactly. It's such a Halloween thing. So I guess that's just so because we do have this through line of hearing her voice every now and then, to help him make a decision. But also he fully accepts that box appearing and disappearing on the table. Like,
he's totally cool with it. He's like,
that's magic.
But that's, I guess it's the he's what, 11 in this, 12, something
like that. Yeah,
something like that. That he still has imagination. He hasn't been beaten down by the world.
Yes, the patriarchy hasn't infected his mind yet.
He's like, magic's real in the world. I mean, he also just saw, I think, a man lift a coffin by himself and having these weird. He's like, yeah, something's not right. So sure, if this is what I got to do, stick my hand in the box. I did it. All right. Oh, it's terrible.
What was in there? Nothing.
Nothing. It was his fears.
Of course, that's the whole point. It was purely fear that stuck it to his hand. And then we have a little musical interlude because we haven't had one yet in this movie, so we'll pop one in.
Well, the music is great. I love the theme. The Phantasm theme is fantastic. There are only a few moments that I started laughing, and I think there was one where like Jodie is searching around, and it literally is a long sustained organ note that's just
yes,
and it's like someone fell asleep on the organ just. What? Oh, he found something. But just one thing that I just saw in my notes about the psychic sign. The psychic sign is like it looks like a stop sign. It's like an octagonal, like red. It's like psychic. Stop for the psychic. Sure. But no, the music. What do you think of the music in this movie?
I think it's great. I mean, there's moments where you think, oh, is it about to go into Tubular Bells Exorcist? No, it's just like variation on that. But I think it's very effective. But then we even have a musical interlude where we just have two guys jamming on the guitar.
Oh, that musical. Oh, yeah. No, that's absolutely like, I don't know. You guys play guitar?
Let's put it in.
Yeah, let's just have a jam session in the middle of our movie.
And I only noticed it this time, though. But is there something about, is it Reggie, when he uses the tuning fork? Because the tuning fork is very reminiscent of, the gateway at the end where you have to touch both. And he does like a weird thing with the tuning fork. It's almost like foreshadowing. Is it just purely foreshadowing?
I think it's purely foreshadowing. I think there's no reason. To be honest, I'm not a musical fella, so I don't know if that's how they tune things using the tuning fork.
Normally before you play.
You don't play the whole song and then go, hey, tuning fork.
Is this
that was out of tune the whole time. Re-record it.
Yeah, okay, so that's what that is. It's just a symbolism, I suppose.
And it's also Jody just had like 2 guitars just with him. He was like,
right.
in case my ice cream man buddy shows up, I better have this ready for him.
And I have to say, Reggie, I'm pretty sure that the movie Ice Cream Man is based on this character.
Oh, the look and everything.
The look is everything. It's Clint Howard.
What year is that ice cream truck from?
Oh, don't eat from that.
Yeah, I would not. I don't even think it has ice cream in there. I don't think he does.
Hell no. It's just ice.
And musical instruments. He's got a whole band, everything there. He just travels around. But I love Reggie. I mean, Reggie Bannister is just delightful and more prominent in the later movies and things. And I'm just like, I'm here for him. He's great. His little ponytail.
So
love
watchable.
It. Iconic. Wonderful.
It's so watchable. There's a random moment, and again, this may be due to cuts, and again, one of those things that may have just made me go, I don't understand, as a kid, where there's a girl in the crematorium, she opens the door and screams, and then we never see her again.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, I'm like, does she go on the kill count? That's kind of what I was like.
Well,
she just
I guess
screams, and we don't really get verification of what it was. Like, it could have.
I guess she opened the pod room, right, where the little people are all being stored before they're turned into slaves.
Yeah, in the like Tarman, Return of the Living Dead, like barrels.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly that. So I guess that's a kill. But we don't see her body. Who knows?
And was it the psychic daughter, or was I mistaken that screams?
Well,
no.
The thing is, the girls in this, I think they all went for one part, and then they said, let's just have them all in it, because you got the lady in lavender.
Yeah,
you got the
they
two
are all
girls at the
very
antique store.
similar.
Yes, 2 girls at the antique store. The one
two
at
friends
the
that are just
fortune
watching
teller.
the brother for some reason.
That's rant. We definitely missed some information there, because that jumps around a lot when we're with them. I'm like, hang on. So is this antique shop open? Why is the 2 girls there almost looking like they're shopping there? Don't they work there? I don't know.
Yeah, the antique shop was so random and out of nowhere, and be like, well, and it's like, who is Sally? That's what it was. I have this written in my note. Who is Sally? Why are we suddenly with these women at an antique shop? Be like, well,
so
just
good.
watch my brother. Like, all right, cool.
Again, it's one of those things where he has to find the photo of the tall man, and that has to awaken some sort of realization. He has to have an epiphany. Oh, well, let's just send him to Sally's. What?
Yeah.
When did this happen? I love it.
Send him there. I didn't know that they had Apple Live photos in the 1900s. That was very nice.
Right. It's very
holding
good.
it down to capture that little motion there.
Then we have one of these kind of wonderful artistic nightmare sequences. These are the nightmare sequences I don't mind, these kind of dreams. Where Michael has the nightmare of the tall man and the zombies, and we zoom out, we do a quick zoom out, and we're suddenly in the graveyard. Really effective.
Yeah, that's great. And that's like, I know this is a dream. Fine. Thank you. Don't ever negate everything I just watched and go, none of it happened. What was the point? This is bullshit. And it's like,
oh my gosh,
listening intensely to someone tell you a dream. You're like, that's really cool. None of that happened.
Right. I can't wait for you to see Saw 10. We'll discuss.
Oh no! No! Spoiler. I will just say
No, it's not that bad. It's not like someone wakes up at the end.
But I was in a production meeting for Dead Meat, and someone was talking about Saw 10 and was just like, I hate that at the end, and I just threw my headphones off in the air and just went, I'm not listening to you just about to tell me the movie that I have not watched. What the hell happened? I've never thrown off headphones faster in my life. Just
at least you got that little cue though. That thing the end. No, it's interesting. One of the most, I think, famous shots, and one that's always on all of those countdown shows, is of Angus Scrimm as the tall man clomping down the street on the other side of the road, stopping by the steam.
Yeah. But the steam is supposed to be cold. Like, that's the cold, right?
Is that what it is?
I think it's supposed to be that he doesn't like cold. That's what I always took it as, but maybe not.
So I never knew if he's like enjoying it and breathing it in, or if he's finding it painful,
likes the cold. Maybe I don't know I don't know. Let's get Don
either
here.
way.
Let's ask.
Yeah,
Don.
come on, Don. We need answers on this. Although, actually, I think I read some contrasting evidence about that, and I think Don has said he's never been sure whether the guy likes it or whether he hates it. So we're not going to get a clear answer.
You know what, Don? I respect you for being honest about that and not going, well, yeah, I always meant it to be that way. Like,
thank you for telling us you went, it just looked cool.
Tommy Wiseau would always be like, oh, we meant it to be. You meant none of that for your movie, Tommy. Your Room was not meant to be like, oh, no, we knew it would be. I'm like, don't own that. This is a genuine movie. You tried to make an Oscar-nominated film, and you did not. And it's amazing that you did not.
I hate it when people do that. It's one of my pet peeves. I won't name names, but there's someone that I worked with recently.
You're talking about me.
And
talking about me.
I won't name names. But he could never be wrong about anything. So even if he makes just a very small mistake or he mispronounces a word, he would hate it so much that he would always say, no, I did it on purpose because I knew you'd pick me up. And I hate that. It's like, no, it's okay. It's okay if you can't say Mississippi. Just like, if it's okay. He'd always go, you do know I did that as a joke to make you laugh. And that, I'm just like, well, obviously that's something within him that he's dealing with, something that some mountain he has to climb about accepting that he can be wrong. But it pisses me off.
Yeah, I would piss me off too. Let's go take him out. Actually, let's take a pause and let's go find whoever this is who has not been named. It's Voldemort, isn't it? He who has not been named.
Said it.
But I just was, and again, I'm reviewing all of my notes too, because I watched this, I think like 2 weeks ago or something. So
yes.
Okay, I got to remember this. Freaking Jody has game. He picks up that woman in the bar, which I'm like, well, she obviously wanted to go, but he literally like just shows up and is like, all right, we're going to have sex. That's it. And then the pervy bro is watching it.
Now,
and I'm like, this is okay, cool. There's the interest, but I'm like, don't watch this dude. But he has the perfect smile on when there's a boob reveal, another boob reveal. And
yeah.
He just has this like perfect, like, I'm seeing boobs, like smile that I'll be honest, I probably had when I was like 10 or 12 watching, like switching some TV channel and being like, oh, there's boobs. Oh, I'm not supposed to see these.
Yes. Yeah, he has the perfect reaction, but I still think it's odd that he's watching boobs that were revealed by his brother.
Yes, who has underwear in his mouth, which is something we all do. For the majority of the time we have sex, we always keep the underwear in our mouths and go, what the fuck?
Yeah, you don't want to lose it.
Yep.
Or get it dirty in the graveyard. But they get a bit of a classic sort of nobody believes the kid that we get in movies, you know. So he has to face it alone. Everyone's like, oh, it's the trauma of your dead parents, that sort of stuff, which maybe at the end it is, which is annoying. But at this point, it's that frustrating thing where you're like, oh, of course no one believes the kid. And then we get the sphere. Talk to me.
We finally get the sphere, the most iconic Christmas ornament that just murders people. I love that thing so much. So much that I got excited in... I don't have one. I bought one for the Phantasm Marathon and raffled it off, and my friend won it. I actually... Sorry, memory just came back to me. I wrote an entire sketch that I never filmed for Halloween, which was my buddy Cusper gets a sphere as a pet. He has it as like his pet dog thing, and it's like murders someone at the door. It's like a pizza guy, and then like there's a pool of blood, and he like takes the sphere and rubs it in, like no, bad sphere, just like treating it like a dog. But no, it's such a cool visual. Like the way they filmed it too, they would like just chuck the sphere around a corner and then like reverse it so that it like zips around and. Cool. They had so much trouble with reflections and having to figure out how to film the thing and make it look like it was moving. And just the fact that this thing comes in, sticks in your head, drains out all your blood in this giant thing, and just falls down. And then they did it again in the game Turok 2 for the Nintendo 64. There is a ball launcher that you can kill people with, and it would zip that ball into their head and it would drain it out of their head. And I was so happy in that game, and I'm like, all I want is to use this thing in Turok 2 because it is such an inventive, iconic, cool device.
Oh, it really is, isn't it? And this is one of the things that came to him, to Don, in a dream, apparently. And he had this vision of this futuristic ball dispenser sending off these spheres that had needles on. And obviously in this one, it's got the sort of the two prongs. And then it just does, the thing is, it's another thing, then another thing, then another thing. Not only does it go into your head, then it drills, and then it has the power to completely decant all of the blood from your body straight out. And it is, every last drop. It's fucking brilliant. And then he wets himself. And apparently, of course, this is what originally got the movie an X rating, the dreaded X rating back in those days. But
the
apparently
urinating?
they knew the urinating. Yeah. Well, this whole section, I think.
Oh no,
all
pee,
of the
no
fluids.
pee. Yeah, this is so this is like the one death, like gory death, but it is. I don't know. The idea of it is more gory than I think the execution. I mean, it's literally just a stream of blood coming.
It's
from...
that though, isn't it? More than the screwing into the head, more than the prongs. It's the stream of blood, because it is quite a sight and it is very unsettling.
But to me,
and also
like,
anatomically, it's cartoon as well. So that's
cartoonish. It's a level that I wouldn't rate it as X-rated, but of course this is 79, so they're doing.
They managed to get it back down to an R though, because apparently they had a buddy who wrote it, or someone who saw it and thought, no, this is cartoonish, and then they wrote to the board and they got it down to an R. So fair.
But just speaking of X-rated, I realized they had to rename this movie in Australia because there was a softcore movie called Phantasm or Phantasmic or something like that. So they renamed it The Never Dead.
The what? The Nether?
The Never Dead. That was the
Never
name of it.
Dead.
Never Dead, which is not bad.
Well, no, that's all right. And although that's reminding me, I do have questions when we get to the end. Exactly, what is the purpose? What are they doing with the exhuming the dead bodies and stuff, and they're squishing them down?
We'll get to
that's
that.
all a bit confusing. But then we get also a really terrifying chase sequence with the tall man when he's chasing Michael. We get that great hand moment where he traps the hand, and it's actually comical because he's sort of wrapping his fingers. Obviously, his hand's trapped in the door and through the other side, and he's kind of like, yes, like what an inconvenience.
Mm-hmm. And then that was all a bunch of people under the floor with their fingers, like in the yellow blood and everything.
Right.
I love the yellow blood. That's also a nice, iconic thing. I think that looked really cool. And I love that the finger was actually in the box when Jodie looked at it. I was so waiting for
oh my God, I've put this in my notes.
So this waiting for it to be like, I'm like, oh, it's there? And he fucking believes it. He's like, whatever you say, brother, I'm in. I'm like, yes! Thank you.
It is so satisfying. You're right. This is normally the point in the movie where the kid has finally got evidence. He leaves it unattended, comes back in. It was just here, I swear. It's one of those. But he does, and it's the fact that, it's so quick. He looks at it and goes, okay, I believe you. It's great. It's just so
That's
satisfying.
what you want, that validation.
Yes.
So then they're together, and now you're like, I'm rooting for him because they're on board, and he's like, all right, I got an adult, so we're good. And then the finger turns into a bug.
a hellfly.
Which is very similar to the scarab from Bubba Hotep, the other Don Coscarelli. I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, so we're doing some more bug stuff. Cool. All right.
Right. We have a calling card.
Yeah. Well, obviously that came later, but yeah.
But this is an interesting choice. And apparently this bug did come back later, but they cut it because it looks so shitty. It does, and it still does.
It's like a Meet the Feebles fly.
Yeah, or something you'd see in Sean S. Cunningham's House, or one of the sequels, where just random shit happens and there's an odd creature. It feels like that. It's very odd.
Insult House 2, the second story.
That's my favorite one.
That's
Everyone
the best
hates
one.
It.
It's the best subtitle for a film. It's got
the second story.
Oh, God, it's so good. Dogapillar, Frank Welker as a pterodactyl.
Dogapillar!
I love that movie.
I do.
All right, let's go. Let's watch that now. Let's watch
go
House
do that. I've already covered those. I've already done those. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have the chase with the crazy fly all over the house. It's very random. But I'm here for it. I mean, I love anything that looks so shit being played with no irony, like people going, oh no, this thing is terrifying, and we're going, is it?
No, just acting without anything actually. They're like, oh, it's in my shirt. Oh,
yes. And they're having to do lots of sort of clowning and puppetry with like empty bags. Whoa!
It's always so hard. There's no weight to this at all, but I'm pretending that there is. So,
yes, but they get it
actors.
into the disposal. Yeah, they do. I mean, Critters had to do a lot of that, didn't they? When it would go up someone's jumper. Like, I think particularly Billy Zane, I seem to remember him having to hold a puppet onto him, going, no! And you could see he's holding it in place.
Background extras in Critters 2, the unsung heroes of that are just like, we just stuck one here and you got another on a wire behind you. Just run and scream, and they are giving it their fucking all, like these things are gonna murder me.
And they've just got these things sort of safety pinned to their clothes. It's fantastic. Yep. But Jodie, because they're teamed up, thank God, and they get it in the disposal sink. And then Jodie goes to the mausoleum. He goes into the basement. Now, we don't really have basements in the UK. We have attics and lofts. And every time I see one of these dangling lights in a basement with the sort of chain to pull it, I'm just waiting for an iron to come from Home Alone, come tumbling down.
Oh my God, Home Alone's ruined you.
Honestly, every time I see it, I go, oh, there's an iron on the other end of that stuck in the laundry chute.
Yeah, no, that's just for comical use. You can't actually kill anyone with that in the horror movies.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm glad that's what you think of.
Yeah,
your brain is broken like mine.
Yay. Jawa jumps on him and he just shoots in the face. It could be a child.
No, it's not a child. We don't ever see the faces in this, right? We don't see...
Well, we do see one, and it's Tommy's face.
Oh, that's right.
In the car. Their dead friend Tommy, because they're reanimating the dead of Morningside.
Yeah, which I don't know if they say it in this one, but I think in the next one or one of them, they're talking about basically they take corpses and just like squish them down.
Yes.
And they're just like, a
and
corpse, bring them to life. There you go. And now you got which my wife is a huge Spaceballs fan. And whenever they were on screen, she would just go, dink, 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 dink.
It is very that.
Yeah.
And then we get a car chase because we haven't had one of those yet in this movie.
Which is impressively shot.
It's good.
And I think I'm sure there were some injuries on set and things like that. I know at one point there was a thing that he the shotgun blast was close to him and it caught his shirt on fire because, even if it's firing blanks or things, there's still you should not be near it. No. And so, that to me is just dumb 20-year-old filmmaking. We could do this.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I didn't have a safety person or anything on set. But luckily, no one was
that always happens.
Drastically hurt or killed. So,
good Lord. But yeah, it's a great car chase. And then we get the impaled Jawa. Yeah, and that's when we see Tommy's face. And as you say, we don't fully get it explained. There's a bit of talk. I think somehow Mike has a moment where he says, I think I may be wrong. I think they may be shrinking people down and making them... Whoa!
There we go. Yeah, sure.
Who's the psychic? Sorry, it's not Grandma.
Hey, I like it when people have theories, but I don't like it when they're right. I like it when they have theories like the origins of graboids, when they're like, hey, maybe they're outer space, maybe they're this, and they're like, oh, it's this. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
I was like, come up with theories, but just be fucking wrong on
be so
on
off
them
the
at
mark.
all. Be like, when you guess it, I'm like, that's a long stretch to get that right.
Sus. That's first time. But this is when he's like, right, I'm going to send you to the antique store random.
Yeah, and we unfortunately lose Sally and Susie, who ever the hell they were. They get killed.
When were they ever discussed?
Really cool car flip shot with the lighting and I love that shot. That shot is beautiful.
Is that the one with Sally and Susie in?
Yeah, with Sally and Susie.
Yeah, because Mike's got thrown out the back.
Yeah. And I love that shot. It's just I loved it. So good.
And when Jody locks Mike in his room, it kind of made me go, oh, he does care about him, because obviously Mike has heard that he's going to be left, that his brother's leaving him as soon as he turns 13, and it's kind of rough. But he wants to get out of Dodge. I mean, I don't blame him, you know. What is there? Just a mausoleum, an antique shop, and a fortune teller. I mean, come on. But
and he lost his chance with the one girl in town that has sex with anyone. He's like, well, you screwed that up for me, buddy. I was going to stay, maybe marry the random bar girl,
Boot
but
girl.
You were staring at me, bud. You did this to yourself.
Gotta get out.
And does he lock him in? No. Does he do the
Yes, this is when, because obviously we know Mike is great at engineering, because he, the 12-year-old boy, was fixing a car on his own earlier.
The bullet
but I do love
hammer
this
thing is so cool. I can't believe we watched the whole thing. Like, we are just sitting in that shot as he's like, maybe this would work.
Thinking of it, yeah.
Not even a montage or anything of like, he's just like, we watch him strap it and do it
in
like,
real time.
Doing? Bam! So smart.
And then the magic puff of smoke, like a magic show. I loved that. Like it was a musket or something that he'd use. I absolutely loved it.
I would buy that more than a sonic screwdriver from Doctor Who.
Well, there you go.
But of course, those don't work on wood, so that's fine. Or a deadlock.
Very true. But he gets caught by the tall man, of course, because he's at the front door still. Now he shows that he's got his fingers back. Obviously, they've regrabbed.
I love that that's his like, by the way, you and the audience at home, so that we don't have to question if you're seeing that I'm walking around like this or whatever.
Yes. So apparently for this moment, originally he wasn't going to have his fingers, and they built like a fake prosthetic arm or something. They built it a foot longer than his actual arm. So when he was holding it was above his head. And so they scrapped it. Like, they didn't think of it. When they put it on the arm, it was just, it added an extra foot. Yeah. And so they were like, I think he should just grow them back.
And we're okay with it.
Yes. But then we get because we haven't had a car explosion in this movie yet, we have the moment where he gets chucked into the hearse, obviously, and then jumps out, and then there's a big car explosion. And then it's coming to the end, and we get a POV shot of the sphere, which I really enjoyed, in infrared. Very quickly. Oh, yeah,
sphere vision.
Sphere vision.
Sphere vision. Kind of infrared, like, Predator or Terminator, or always easy to do instead of showing the actual effect, be like,
Yeah, it's great. So now, Zoran, tell me your thoughts and your takeaway of this final section where they go through the door, and with the information we're given just in this movie, what do you take away from what the fuck is going on?
Is he an alien? Is the tall man an alien? Is that his home world, or is it supposed to be that's like death? To me, I always took it as he's like an alien from another world, and this is the portal,
he is.
And he's just getting this world ready for the population of whatever this world is.
Because, because luckily Mikey has a hunch, and it's all, well, we don't know if it's all correct, but we assume it's all correct. He goes, this must be the gateway, this to another planet. They're using them as slaves, and so they're taking our dead, human dead, squishing them, reanimating them, putting a hood on them, and then sending them back to his planet to be slaves. So he's like a dictator or a Führer, I guess, on this red planet.
So, to be honest, he's kind of recycling.
Well,
so,
he's not killing.
He's not killing. He is, never mind. Sorry. He's disguised as a boob lady. We get to reveal that.
Oh, God, of course.
He is the woman in the cemetery that is killing people.
That's right.
So never mind. He does murder people in this small town. Also, I know you're inconspicuous in this small town, but there's not a lot of people here. So once they're all dead, you should be setting up at a retirement community or something like that. But I mean,
just waiting.
Maybe the old bodies aren't good enough for his tiny Jawa slaves that he puts in his planet, which is just nothing but red skies and gravel. And I'm just like, why? Don't you want to stay in this world? I mean,
yeah, right.
Why go back to that world?
Why build from the ground up? We already have all
There's
that.
There's nothing there, man.
But I guess that's what's going on. But we don't really get an explanation about why the spheres, why these certain people that come into
I
the
remember
mausoleum.
we get them later. We do get them later in the franchise. I don't know if I should spoil it or save it for when it's actually
I can't
revealed.
remember. So
I can definitely remember what happens with spheres, and then they start getting crazy with the spheres, and the spheres.
I remember there's more than one sphere at one point. Yeah, they've got different.
And they've got different
it's like Tremors,
gadgets, and I'm like, I'm on board for this. Yeah, up
Yes.
the spheres to make them do all kinds of weird shit.
Yeah, I remember that. I certainly do. So yeah, I like though that it is all pretty ambiguous. We don't actually
I didn't
get
mind
a
it.
solid answer about what the fuck is going on. It's just trippy. And yes, there's a lot of questions. And I wish they had left it, as we were saying earlier, kind of like that. Like, what the hell did I just watch and what's going on? Because obviously Reggie gets stabbed outside and then they have the plan. Yeah.
Buzz.
Lady in Lavender.
Lady
Although
in
it's the tall
Lavender,
one.
that's her name. I'm sorry I'm calling her Booby Lady the whole time.
Booby Lady.
Sorry, Lady in Lavender. I do apologize.
Well, you're talking about Lady out of Lavender
Oh, that's a phrase?
when it comes off. Well, no, when it comes off.
There we go.
There it is. Yeah, poor Reggie. But then the old man, take him to the old mine shaft.
Yeah. My biscuits are burning.
Yeah, come on, lassie.
I love that they just shut the film off for a section in here. It just goes completely black, and we just hear audio, and one be like, well, we're just going to get some exposition over here and move on from there. Everything's just off. Just don't even film like a light silhouette. Like, because in the 80s still, they would still like poorly film where it's like, I kind of see movement or something. It's like, no, it's dark. I expected like cartoon eyes to just like walk around in this section.
But yeah, they have this fantastic plan. The mine shaft, which is just uncovered. No one's ever thought about making this a site of danger. But luckily,
it's just an overgrown sign kind of place somewhere. Like, there's a mine shaft somewhere around here.
Yes,
danger.
In this area. So luckily that works. And I don't know how, but Jody pushes boulders, the size of which I have no idea how he managed to move off a cliff.
Yeah, which I just thought of Ludo from Labyrinth calling his rock for
call the rocks, Ludo!
Call the rocks. And that's when I was like, wait, did he call the rocks? Oh no, there's Jody. Somehow I used a fulcrum and a lever and it worked. And I was able to get all these rocks. And I'm like, okay, the mine shaft. Cool.
Yes. But it's a nice little chase, that bit. And I remember the only bit that truly scared me as a kid, and I knew it was coming and it still sort of got me, is when he opens the curtains and the tall man's there and he just smashes through the window. And we get the boy!
Oh, the boy is so good. Angus Scrim, just... Rest in peace, Angus. You
gosh,
did
yeah.
So good.
How many did we get him for this? Is it the first two?
He's in all of them.
Is he? Not in the new one. Not in the...
I think they got him in Ravager. If it was...
really?
That's what I don't think it was. He's at least in all of them, I believe.
Oh, wow.
I have to double check.
Amazing.
We'll find out when we get to those.
Well, we will.
Stick with us.
We will.
And we'll find out when we get to those
hands,
later ones.
The hands out of the mud, and, it's a proper good chase scene. And then, obviously, down in the mine shaft, the rocks on top. And Jodie's dead?
When did the dream start?
What
What is going on? I was so angry, and I'm just like, he died in a car wreck? What was the car wreck? When was the car wreck? Like, if the movie had an inciting incident where they'd seen a car wreck, and then
like
we move
Beetlejuice.
forward, I need a like point at which this became a hallucination or a dream or something to deal with his trauma. But the fact that we didn't have any of that, and then Reggie's just like, hey, but your brother died in that car. Like, what?
Which car? What?
Which car wreck? When?
Of the two car wrecks in this movie, Jodie was not present. Yeah.
Yes. So what the hell are you doing with this? Oh, I'm so mad.
It's such a shift, and it's so random. No, you've been imagining this tall man, Jodie. Remember, he died in that car wreck. As you say, there should be a point of reference that you can go back to and go, so that's where we tipped over into fantasy.
And if it's his fantasy of how he's dealing with the death of his brother, I understand that more than this. This just comes out of left field and just is a way to go like, I guess Reggie's alive. Who's dead then?
Reggie's
Who's alive?
alive?
Did
Yeah.
nothing happen? Is any of this real? What? And then, to make up for it, we get another jam session. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Just to be like, oh, sorry, let's distract him with some more music.
A bit more. And now.
And now you're
Mr. Conway Twitty.
For the main thing. A little more guitar noodling. That's what
And
we
then
want.
they sort of double fool us and go, so we've told you now it was all a random dream. Somehow Reggie is going to take care of this 12-year-old boy, even though it's not been made official. I think he'd have to be put into care.
I think legally he has to. Yeah, the ice cream man that traveled back from the 50s in his time machine ice cream thing. Yeah, have him raise the kid. Well, I don't care. Maybe the psychic lady can do it.
System. Yeah, definitely not. But then they also go, aha, but tall man in the mirror. Smashed. Mikey pulled through the... If you're going to piss me off with the dream, don't then piss me off that you've pissed me off. And say, or what's... He's like, what are you doing to me?
Tall man definitely has shorter hair in the ending there, too. So it's like was this a reshoot?
Yeah, reshoot.
I believe so. But they're like, yeah, we just need a jump ending, like, a Friday the 13th, which
of course
makes sense because Friday the 13th was after this.
Hasn't even been out yet.
It just felt like,
Carrie.
Well, we need a jump scare ending and then moving on.
Yeah.
And it's like, boo? But I think the next one picks up like right at this moment with a different actor. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Michael.
Yes, I think you're right.
It's the only one he's not in because then I think he comes back for 3, 4,
He
and
is.
5.
He's in all the way to the end.
I got to
which is very
research
cool.
that and watch a little behind the scenes and see what was going on there. I'm sure it was like a studio thing of just like, no, or they wanted to jump time or I don't know. Something happened.
Well, we had this with Waxwork, didn't we? And they seamlessly have her just...
Waxwork doesn't do shit, and that's
Russian
great.
model. Yeah. No,
I don't know
they
why I
mention
will
it.
accept it with Waxwork, but I won't accept it with Phantasm too.
No. Well, that would be our next one, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a really solid film. It's odd, as I said. It is confusing. Mostly enjoyable confusion with a little bit of come on, that doesn't sit. But I understand why it's such a cult classic because there was nothing really like this.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, at the time, 1979.
Before all to come. Yeah, I mean we were just on the cusp of a very cookie cutter time, and so this was a real. And you'd had, all the more exploitation before this in the 70s, and some of the, the really big ones with Rosemary's Baby and Carrie and stuff. You had these artistic ones, and then you had the Chainsaw Massacres, and so it just really sticks out, and it's like an anomaly. And I think I'm really looking forward to continuing this journey with you.
Yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to getting to 3, and I like 2 is I think when it becomes a studio film, like so we go from independent to budget upped, and we're now probably going to get studio notes and things like this is just Don figuring things out with his friends, and it has that feel of just, hey, we filmed this with people that we know, and we just did it on our weekends, and it was something that we wanted to do, and I love. I think
his mum,
feel
Don's mum, played loads of extras in this somewhere in the background apparently.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it has that very fun feel, so it's gonna be very interesting to jump to the franchise, because then the later ones even get more back to the lower budget kind of feel. It does that. It does. It's like, it's the most money you have, less money direct to video, and then this, and then I was making a web series, and then I put it all together and kind of made a movie. Here you go. That was all I had. Hope it works.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the journey. Well, thank you. Well, apart from the obvious thing that you have coming up, do you have any fun work things coming up?
Yes, I do. I am returning to the kill count during this weird time that we are, of course, not covering any struck work, supporting the SAG strike. Hopefully that gets resolved.
Yeah.
But we've been doing things that aren't, mainstream films. So I am doing Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, the comic book, the first ever comic book kill count on Friday the 13th.
Wait, you're doing... Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see how you edit that together.
It took a long time, but it's really fun. I will say we did some sound ups, like we actually fully voiced and got some voiceover friends and things to actually do the character voices so that we have some
you're good at that
design
sort of stuff
sound
anyway.
ups. Well, I basically just so I can be Freddy Krueger and just go ha 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 ha, ha bitch.
Yeah. When is that coming out? Sorry.
Sorry, Friday the 13th, October 13th, so not far away at all. If this is released in time, great. Watch that.
Yes,
if
it
not,
will be.
go back to Dead Meat, youtube.com/deadmeat, and watch Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash on there. It's a very fun episode, and I'm very, very proud of all the work that everyone put into it.
That sounds amazing. Can't wait to watch that. And we will chat and we will work out when we'll get the next one done, and I'm really looking forward to it. And as always, I know you've got a flight to catch. Thank you. It is always an honor. I absolutely adore you. I think you're great, and I can't wait to chat to you again.
Stevie, I'm gonna have to just move to where you are. You're delightful, and I want to hang out with you more than our little chats. But I'm so glad that we have more than just a couple now, so we can talk Phantasm till the spirits come home.
Yay! Yes. There it is. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. Have a safe flight, and congratulations once again. Honestly, I'm so happy for you.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there we go. Thank you to the brilliant and charming Zoran. We will be tackling Phantasm 2 later this month over on Patreon. So if you'd like to come along for the ride, as always, just head to patreon.com/Stevie's Brainrot, where you can sign up for just £5 a month. Or the link is downstairs in the show notes. Something's wrong with me today. For me, there is nothing quite like watching an anthology horror during the spooky season. That really kicks it off for me. And so, to kick it off, Michael Verratti will be joining me next week to discuss Stephen King's triple bill from 1985, Cat's Eye. Drew Barrymore and that fucking troll. So, grab your pumpkin spice whatever and meet us there. All right, rotters. Boodles!